Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my studio. In this video, I'd like to show you how to make this fabulous, free-flying, fun, fishy kite. I'm actually going to show you how to make a different kite with a different pattern, but the construction and the concept are the same. Here I'm going to show you how to make a kite with a palm tree, sun, and water design on top. I'm using the paper pattern as a guide to cut this pretty blue background color that'll represent the back of the kite, which represents the sky. I cut the glass according to the pattern, then use my running pliers to remove the excess material. Now that base layer is cut, I'm going to cut the design pieces. Here I'm using a nice steel blue to represent these waves on the side of the kite. I cut as much of the glass as I can by hand with my handheld cutter. But then these really deep curves, they're going to require a little more intricacy, so I'm going to use a wet saw to cut those shapes. So right now I've cut the straight pieces. I'm taking a Sharpie, going over those pattern lines, and then I'll use those lines as reference when I take this glass to the saw to cut that shape. I've selected opal yellow, orange, and red for the palm leaves. It's a little unconventional, but I love color, and I just like to represent things in a new and unusual way that makes the project and the design more exciting. Here again, I cut as much as I can by hand because I love cutting by hand, and it's faster, easier, and very accurate. But these really intricate, tight curves here, these cuts, I'll have to use a saw to get those shapes out without breaking the glass. Now, if you don't have a saw, you could just cut that little palm leaf into 3 individual pieces and get a very similar look. I just love these tropical colors and the way they work together. I'm cutting this palm leaf out of an opal orange. These opal colors are a little more difficult to see through, but they do have a little more transparency than you're able to see here on the video. After I cut the pieces by hand, I go ahead and mark them with the Sharpie, and then I use lip balm over the Sharpie so that when I use the wet saw, the lip balm doesn't wash away. I can see those lines and reference them when I'm cutting out the pattern shapes. Now this red glass, I can't see through it very easily, so I've decided to cut out a paper pattern. I place the pattern on top of the glass and outline it with the Sharpie. Keep in mind, you can combine different techniques, different cutting techniques, sometimes where you're cutting with the glass over the pattern, other times where you're cutting around a pattern or tracing around a pattern. Whatever works for you to expedite that project, get the most accuracy, the best look, and the best outcome that you can. That's what you want to use, that type of procedure, when whatever you're making. Use whatever works best for that particular project, your application, your materials, and the end result that you're looking for. I've selected this really flashy dichroic glass for the sun. It has bumps on it. It's really beautiful, lots of color. But with this texture, I have to cut it on the back side where it's smooth. Now I'm going to use this same glass to cut little triangular shapes to represent the rays of the sun and some extra details along 2 sides of the edge of the kite. Now I'm going to grind the pieces to improve the shape, take the sharpness off, and make sure that they fit nicely together. If I have a bump on the glass, I'll stay there a little bit longer with that grinder bit to make sure I smooth that out. Notice how the Sharpie isn't washing away because I put that lip balm on it. Here's the wave piece. I'm going to go ahead and grind those straight edges, and then we'll take that over to the saw and we'll cut these intricate inside cuts. This is a bandsaw. It's great for cutting smaller pieces and getting a really nice, accurate, straight, and thin cut. You don't really remove a lot of material with the saw. It works really well. Because the bandsaw, you're only going to cut in one direction, I cut all the way in, then I pull the glass back out and go back in from another direction to get those nice deep inside shapes. And here I'm going to use it to cut these wave pieces, wave shapes out of this nice blue glass. When you're using a wet saw or any type of cutting tool, go slow, make sure you have plenty of water, and let the tool do its job. It's grinding, not really cutting. Once you think about that, it's not as scary to use it. And then just take your time, allow the piece of equipment to do its job in a slow manner, and you'll have great success. Now I'm going to take this piece and use a small 1/4-inch grinder to improve the shape and give myself a really nice curvature here. I want this wave to look really pretty and have nice smooth features. Here I'm grinding the small pieces of glass that will represent the ribbons on the tail of the kite. Now I'm going to take some powder frit, a sifter, and a spoon and apply some powder frit to these pieces of glass that represent the palm leaves. The leaves are pretty by themselves, but this extra attention to detail really adds a nice something to the finished project. I purposely select opal frit in a high contrast color, and then once I sift it on one side of the leaf, then I go back in with a small paintbrush and draw the brush through it to create veins and more detail in that frit. It's really a nice effect. Now for the assembly. I'm placing that pretty blue on top of a white base, adding the piece that represents the water. Now the palm leaves. Aren't these beautiful? Now the trick to working with powder frit is it doesn't look the same in the jar as it does after it's fired. It's always a lot paler in the jar. So here those colors don't really pop, but they will after it's fired. Now I'm adding the rays for the sun. Isn't this just so sparkly and beautiful? Oh my goodness, just makes you want to run to the beach and fly a kite, doesn't it? Now I'm going to add some pretty little pieces of dichroic along this blue water. I find that clear dichroic shows up really well on a deeper color. So I'm purposely putting it on this medium to dark blue so that it shows up really nicely. We're going to fire this to a full fuse temperature, and look how nicely this has come out. We have great edges, lots of color, very simple design, but really pretty and effective. And that dichroic just, boy, that makes this whole project stand out, doesn't it? Going to take that fused piece of glass out, put a mold, a barrel-shaped mold inside the kiln, put the glass back on there. We're going to fire this again to the slumping temperature. Now you'll find firing guides on my website for free. Close the kiln and okay, let's see what we have. All right, aren't these just beautiful? The fish is made the same way as the palm leaves. Just cut some detailed pieces, add a little frit for design and detail, and there you go. You got a beautiful tropical fish on top of your kite. The wonderful thing about this kite design is you can put pretty much any design on the top and it comes out beautiful. The metal kite tail is glued to the glass after it's been slumped. I used 1/8 inch steel rods that I purchased at my home improvement store. But you could use other materials that you have on hand, like copper tubing or wire hangers would even work well. The little ribbons on the kite tail are also glued on at the same time that the kite is glued to that metal. These kites look beautiful hanging on the wall or hanging in a window. If you're looking for more design ideas, you'll find those in my ebook called Fireworks, available on my website. You can get this palm leaf pattern for free on my website. It's downloadable, full size, and then you can design from there. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this kite and incorporating metal and glass together to make something kind of sculptural and a little more exciting than just your run-of-the-mill piece of glass. Now, if you didn't want to bother with the metal part, you could make just this area. You could maybe make the tail out of wood or out of wire, not necessarily do this bent wire here. You could do this a little more simply if you wanted to. You certainly could. But look how cool that is. You know, with this background, the way it's self-hanging, you put a little sawtooth hanger on the wall there that hangs. These little guys are glued on so beautifully. Just a lot of fun. Really nice fun project for the summer. Great for a kid's room, for a decoration for the wall. Great for, your beach house, your lanai, your back porch, wherever you want to have a little bit of that endless summer happening all year long. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this, and I hope you give it a try. You can get the pattern free on my website. Please follow and like my YouTube channel. Then you'll be notified when all my new material, all my new videos come out. You'll get notifications so you can jump right on those projects and have fun enjoying watching them. Please consider becoming a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have exclusive content coming out all the time. You get full step-by-step video instruction for each of the projects. Also comes with a full-size printable pattern ebook with patterns, firing guides, material list, and full color images that you're just going to love. So please consider becoming a premium video member. We'd love to have you. And until next time, happy sailing, go fly a kite, and happy fusing.